Oh, yeah. Who knew Nish was such a heartthrob? Look at him, clean shaven. Woo! Nish, how are you?
I'm good, boys. How are you? It's lovely to see you, as ever, in somewhat strange circumstances.
Nish, what I love about you is you're at home, you're in isolation, but you're still in a suit. Standards, you're keeping them high.
Yeah, you don't want to see my lower half.
No, we don't want to see that. Oh, so how are you getting on with isolation? How are you finding it?
Well, we're kind of still at work. So the reason I'm in this suit, apart from keeping standards high, is because I'm about to film the second episode of The Mash. So we're kind of like, we've been in sort of Zoom chats, and, it is basically like being at work, only no one's wearing trousers. Whereas normally we have a very strict trousers on in the office policy.
And I've got to ask you, because you do look very weird without the beard. I think a handsome man. But are you still doing the stage where every time you look in the mirror, you go, oh, are you growing it back now?
Yeah, I'm growing it back because, I mean, I looked like an 8-year-old boy.
All right, let's cross up to Simon. He's got some questions from the north.
I have here some questions from the north. So Nish, I suppose the thing is that you're back for another series of the Mush Report, and I'm assuming most people have seen it. But for anyone who hasn't seen the show before, how would you describe it?
It's a topical comedy show that's supposed to be a combination of comedy that's based on the reality of the news and surreal sketches that start in the real world and then escalate into a kind of weirdness. However, the real world is now so weird that it's increasingly difficult to tell the difference.
Well, I know when you first came on promoting the very first series, we had a conversation then between us sort of saying, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Because you're doing a satirical show, and yet real life is actually far more satirical than anything you could ever write. And society is just the gift that keeps on giving for a show like yours at the moment.
Every year we think, every series we've come back, we've been like, well, this will be a normal series. And, until about a month ago, we still thought, well, this might be the first normal series. So much of what we've done is covering Brexit. And I mean, to some extent, that issue is now resolved. And we thought, well, maybe something weird will happen with the US election. I don't think we can reasonably have been expected to foresee us ending up in a situation where I'm presenting this television show on my own, in my own home studio, which I don't know if you can see any of that. Like, it looks like I'm set up for a very different sort of filmmaking, guys. I think that's as much as I can say on a Sunday morning. But yeah, I don't think any of us foresaw that I would be stealth shooting in my bedroom.
No, not at all. Has it changed a little bit of the emphasis, though? Because obviously, on one hand, you've got to be satirical and funny. But on the other hand, as a society, then we're sort of going, you've got to almost be a bit positive. But, is it harder to be satirically biting?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you want to keep the core values of the show intact, but this sort of, there needs to be a bit more warmth to it, I think. But I think a part of the way that we get around that is that I'm clearly just in my house. And I think that breeds a certain level of intimacy that I think invites like a level of warmth. I think for the audience watching, there is this sense of, I mean, we're in the man's, I'm filming this next door to my toilet, and it does not get more intimate than that. And so I think the intimacy of it and the fact that there's no studio audience almost breeds a kind of, it means there's a sort of closer relationship between me and the audience at home, I think, in some ways.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too close. And have you still got all of the same kind of guests and contributors, shall we say, on the show?
Yeah, we've got all the same contributors. All the guests are back. We're recording chats with Rachel Parris and Jeff Norcott, Desiree Birch. hear Shah. We're basically able to, through the magic of the internet. I don't fully understand the technology. I believe the technical term is witchcraft. Through some level of like computer-based witchcraft, we're able to have Zoom chats with all of our correspondents. And I mean, obviously it's a very different type of show, but all the same people are back and we're able to write it in a similar way. So, I mean, in some ways, it feels very normal.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, I watched an episode of it this week, and it feels like the Mush Report, but with you sitting, like you say, next to your toilet. Well, those are my first batch of northern questions. Down south, Timothy, do you have some more questions for Nish?
Well, yes, of course I do. The people in the south want to know about you starring in a comedy special on Dave. It's called Comedy Against Living Miserably. What can you tell us about that, Nish?
Well, this was back in the good old days when we were able to be in rooms with each other. But we filmed a gig. They filmed a series of gigs, and I was very delighted to host one of them with a bill of amazing comedians. And it's to raise money for Calm, which is a great mental health charity that do absolutely great work, and it's an acronym that stands for the Campaign Against Living Miserably, and they've been doing lots of work with comedians and with the channel Dave, and so Dave commissioned these sort of charity specials that are specifically designed to help raise awareness of the kind of work that Calm do. And it was a really wonderful gig. I mean, it feels now more than ever, with people being isolated, it is a situation where mental health problems could be exacerbated. And so the work that charities like Calm do is going to be more important than ever over the next couple of weeks.
Comedy Against Living Miserably is out on Wednesday, the 22nd of April at 9 p.m. on Dave. Nish, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck with growing that beard back, and we'll see you when things are a little bit normal in the studio, hopefully.
Cheers, mate. And the Mush Report, of course, is on BBC 2's at 10 o'clock every Friday.